Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Let us now begin our discussion. First, we'll tackle how Philippines and Indonesians manage their government affair.
For starters, both nations are the founders of ASEAN and the members of Non-Aligned Movement in APEC. Both countries are members of the East ASEAN Growth Triangle, together with Brunei Darussalam and Malaysia in the BIMP EAGA. The two countries are also actively supporting the Master Plan of ASEAN Connectivity, which will enhance greater mobility within the region. The Philippines, in particular, is eager to develop the ASEAN roll-on, roll-off, or RORO network and short sea shipping.
And on May 23, 2014, the Philippines and Indonesia signed a historical agreement that drew a boundaries between the two countries. The EEZ is an area 200 nautical miles from coastal state baseline or edges within which the state has the sovereign rights to explore and exploit and conserve and manage natural resources, among others. The conclusion of negotiations attests to the friendship, patient goodwill, and commitment of government of the Philippines and Indonesia to peacefully address maritime issue, said Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Evan Garcia, who led the Philippine team in negotiations.
For their respective governments, the Philippines' international relations are based on trade with other nations and the well-being of 10 million overseas Filipinos living outside the country. As a founding and active member of the United Nations, the Philippines has been elected several times into Security Council. Carlos P. Romulo was a former president of the United Nations General Assembly. The country is an active participant in Human Rights Council as well as peacekeeping missions, particularly at East Timor.
That's right. Also, their relation with other nations are generally positive. Shared democratic value is relation with West and Europe countries, while similar economic concern help in relation with other developing countries. Historical ties and culture similarities also serve as a bridge in relation with Spain, despite issues such as domestic abuse and more effective overseas Filipino workers. Relation with Middle East countries are friendly as seen in continuous employment of more than 2 million overseas Filipino living there.
Now, just like the Philippines, Indonesia has been a member of the United Nations since 1950.
Yes, and Indonesia currently maintains 132 diplomatic missions abroad, including 95 embassies. The country has adhered to what it calls free and active policy, seeking to play a role in regional affairs commensurate with its site and location, but avoiding involvement in conflicts among other countries. The country restored relations to China in 1990 following a freeze in place since anti-communist purge in mid-1960s. Indonesia also developed close relations with the Soviet Union during the early to mid-1960s.
In contrast, Philippines is a predominantly Christian nation, while Indonesia is one of the Muslim countries, which is why they do not have diplomatic relations with Israel and has actively supported the state of Palestine. However, it does not maintain quiet relations with Israel in trade, tourism, and security.
Let's now head on to the efficiency or inefficiency of Philippines and Indonesia's bureaucracies.
Well, during 2010, Indonesia and Philippines were ranked 2 and 3 respectively among 12 countries in Asia for having the most inefficient bureaucracies.
And they point to red tape as one of the reasons why both countries are suffering a bureaucratic fail. Filipino citizens are perceiving this red tape negatively while it is blocking foreign investment and causing widespread inequality for Indonesia.
However, the President of the Philippines, Duterte, has signed the law that aims of addressing tedious and unnecessary requirements in the people dealings with the government. The new law is called an Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018. This essentially lessened the number of approving agencies involved in permits, clearance, and aims to bureaucratic hurdles.
And according to an article, the Philippine bureaucracy has been perceived as inefficient because it has failed to bring forth and present public goods and services. Furthermore, the Filipino bureaucratism is strongly attached to political relations, which makes it hard to run efficaciously and independently. But with the new law, our bureaucracy has now taken a step forward to becoming efficient.
As for Indonesia, bureaucracy is slowly struggling their opportunity for growth.
Many believe that the Indonesian bureaucratic system has been hijacked to line the pockets of politicians and their parties. No amount of policy rather change will prove effective until the underlying issue is addressed. They said that bureaucracy, like a disease, can be difficult to cure once taken root. In the Indonesia, it has spread across the entire public office system.
Next, we'll discuss the two countries' respective form and structure.
The Philippines is a republic with a presidential form of government where power is equally divided among its three branches, executive, legislative, and judicial. The government also seems to act in the best interest of its citizen through the system of check and balance.
That's right. Just like the Philippines, Indonesia has the same government form. And it works within the framework of a presidential representative democratic republic where president is the head of both state and government. The president in turn chooses the cabinet which form the executive branch that maintain the day-to-day governance.
Alright, what are their programs and services though?
One of the programs that the Philippine government has is the ICT ecosystem development. The program aims to have an integrated perspective of markets, networks, services, applications, and content in determining governance, legal, and regulatory framework.
But on the other hand, the sector of Indonesia, which includes stores, food vendors, and banks, is an important part of Indonesian economy, accounting for 35% of the GDP in recent years. For the last part of our discussion, we'll be tackling the leadership styles of elected officials.
As for the current president of Indonesia, Joko Widodo or Jokowi, it was reported that he has changed the face of Indonesian style of leadership. The image of modesty that Jokowi implies are seen by his choice of attires in daily activities. The president is famous for his modest attires in mostly any occasions. He is different from his predecessors in terms of way or of work and mighty images. His modest charm endorses his own image in charisma to public's eyes.
Just like in Indonesian president, Rodrigo Duterte, the president of the Philippines, also changed the face of country's style of leadership. Though he is also mostly an casual, modest clothing, and he is different from the Indonesian president in his aura. He is very firm, strong in his words and action. An iron fist approach is what defined Duterte.
However, both presidents firmly believe in discipline. Widodo said in an interview that he plans to tighten control over a potentially unruly cabinet stacked with political appointees there to appease the parties in his coalition with the creation of a kitchen cabinet of trusted aides to help him push through reforms, and he said that he is not afraid to ruffle feathers.
On the other hand, Duterte said in his persona that if the Filipino discipline involved, we shall rise from the sorrow and pain.
Wow, what a discussion. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, everyone. Have a good day ahead.
Boom! Tapos.
Uy, loko ko pa. Kasama yung ano.
Ang init.
Wait, tigan mo nga. Sige, end mo, tapos tigan mo kung umayos.
Okay, sige.
Okay, bye.